Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you're all doing well. Let's not hesitate any longer and head on down that rabbit hole together. Let's go.
The government is trying to silence this man based off what he found in the desert. Watch this.
It's getting real now. So we're off north of our property a little bit, and we were looking for places that naturally hold water. And we found this little pond that's north of an arroyo, and this thing is filled with kids' backpacks.
What? Why would there be a...
And
there's a bunch of life activity,
as you dig down,
it's
there's backpacks. There's little kids' backpacks here.
moving to that.
There are kids' backpacks here.
Ask yourself why.
We found a place out in the middle of the desert north of our property that has bones and boots and
What the shit?
kids' backpacks. Yeah.
Who's orchestrating this?
We're getting really, really weird. You smell that?
What?
Just know that they tried to tell the FBI, and the FBI said stop posting about it and stop talking about it.
Like that.
This video is insane, y'all.
So we just hit a point where we found our fifth backpack after finding that boot, and yeah, we're done. We're gonna head back to the property. Gonna have to contact somebody about this because one of our neighbors was really, really interested when we found bones on our property. And that guy's been really, really against us having social media.
So they know something, obviously.
We're kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to figure this out, but we just found a bunch of backpacks and personal belongings.
So apparently they did contact the FBI, and they were told to stop talking about it. Something big and sinister is definitely happening on this property, and there may be very powerful individuals or businesses, corporations, whoever involved. As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay weird.
There are 23,000 plus missing person cases that are open and active in the US. That statistic alone, without this video, is just disturbing.
Check this out. Here's the proof that Satan is everywhere around us. You've never seen what I'm about to show you. Let's start with Elon Musk. Everyone sees him as a genius, a visionary. But what if he's actually the Antichrist? When you search Elon Musk Met Gala jacket on Google, you'll find something terrifying. That day, he wore a jacket with a hidden satanic message on the back. It says, Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means New Order of the Ages. It's not just Latin, it's the motto on the dollar bill, directly tied to secret societies and satanic symbolism. And that's not all. Open your eyes. Satanic symbols are everywhere. The emblem of Bohemian Grove, the secret place where elites gather to do very strange things, was intentionally built into the layout of Washington, D.C. And the craziest part? If you look again at a satellite view of Washington, the streets are designed to form a satanic pentagram. This isn't a coincidence. It's been hiding right in front of us all along.
If you take the 5 points off of a 5-pointed star or a pentagram, you have left in the middle a pentagon.
What do we see here? This is extremely important. But if you take a look, here is the Illuminati pyramid.
The Egyptian obelisk points up to the top of the triangle or the top of the pyramid. We're talking about occultic forces. We're talking about the 5-pointed pentagram, which was used by satanic worshippers for thousands of years.
The more you open your eyes, the more you realize the world isn't what you thought.
So the New World Order fears persist, fueled by symbols like Novus Ordo Seclorum on the dollar, and this video's caption, Satanism Exposed, is pretty misleading. I personally feel like Satanism is not being exposed, but rather revealing itself to us freely in everything we see coming through our screens and on the concert stages. It's not trying to hide itself anymore. People like those in Hollywood are not trying to hide their intentions anymore, but openly displaying and promoting this agenda.
What did I say? Didn't I say it was something fishy going on with her unalivement? Y'all gotta start understanding. When you know a lot about powerful individuals, like elites, and you got stuff to expose them, weird shit always seem to happen. Like I said with Virginia Giuffre, she knew a lot. She was exposing a lot of powerful individuals. She knew that. And she also told people after this hit the fan, after she went to court and she was telling on these people, she said, I am not the S word. I will never do nothing to harm myself. And fast forward now, they said she did something to harm herself. But I smelt cap. I called cap. I don't believe it. And her father don't believe it either. Look at this, y'all. He was on the news when they asked him how did he feel when he found out the news about his daughter. Listen to this.
About your reaction when you heard that she'd taken her life.
Well, first of all, I couldn't even believe it.
Wow.
I mean, I started crying right away.
He's shocked.
Still crying. I can't believe that this is happening. It's impossible. And then for them to say that she committed, there's no way that she did. Somebody got to.
So he don't even believe it. Y'all see how shocked he is. Because he know, just like I know and a lot of other people know, she said she would never do that. But it always happened like this, y'all. What do y'all think happened? Let me know down below in the comments.
When powerful people are involved, truth can be a casualty. Her father's disbelief followed many others online who speculate about her premature passing. People who know what truly goes on in this world and what happens to individuals like this poor woman who try and speak out against the system and the beast system.
There's this saint I came across. I thought it was the coolest story ever. His name is Saint Longinus, the centurion. He was the centurion that did the spear into Jesus' side, but the story goes that his eyesight was bad, like it was degrading and stuff. When he pierced Jesus' side, the blood and water poured on his face and he was instantly healed, his eyesight, but then instantly realized that he was the Son of God. Immediately after that, he's like, I need to go spread the gospel. And so he traveled all over the Middle East and stuff, spreading the gospel. But news got back to Pontius Pilate. So they captured him, brought him in, and they're like, deny your faith. And he said, why would I deny my faith when I know who the true king is? So what they did is like, since he gave you back your eyesight, we're going to take your eyes. And so they took his eyes out, and that didn't stop him. He kept on spreading the gospel, completely blind. And then they said, well, you didn't get the hint. They cut out his tongue. But what the miracle that happened with it is that when they cut out his tongue, he was still able to speak perfectly. But they said it was almost like God was speaking through him, almost with a thunderous voice. They brought him into the temple, basically bow down before our gods, deny your faith in Jesus Christ. And he somehow grabbed a sword, swung, and cut the head off of one of the statue gods.
Let's go.
And he said, let's see what your gods do now. And as soon as he said that, an earthquake happened and every single god in this temple fell down. Shook everyone. And then the governor decided, he's like, we're done with this. And then they beheaded him.
Golly, dude. So much aura.
Yeah.
Plus 1,000 aura.
Longinus' tale is wild. A centurion converted, miraculously healed, then tortured in classic human style. We ruined something powerful and beyond our understanding. Legend or truth, it speaks to faith's power and the stories that we tell.
She lived by the highway of tears when she hears this. A woman named Anita Nazil, who lives next to the highway of tears in Canada, was home one day when she heard the horrifying screams of a woman somewhere outside calling for help. Coming from the highway, the desperate cries of a woman can be heard. Anita then called the police and recorded the scene, since going toward that sound can actually be very dangerous. You see, the Highway of Tears in Canada is a place with a dark past, named after a time where many indigenous people would often go missing by abductions, never to be seen again. Due to its mysterious nature, some believe these screams aren't just a coyote or a bobcat, but many other dangers like someone or something luring people into vulnerability, and even sinister entities like skinwalkers.
Creepy and disturbing, yes, but it would have been good to get a follow-up on what that actually was. Was it someone in need of help, or was it just the eerie cries of a coyote? Okay, so we have more UAP news today for you to take a little look at. Lots to cover as there has been a lot unfolding in the world of UAPs and unexplained aerial phenomena, with more official reports from the likes of Lou Elizondo that took place recently, so take a look at these clips.
So far away. As we take a look at Newark this morning, you can see the sun rising. It's another cold one, but feels so far away. As we take a look at Newark this morning, you can see the sun rising. It's another cold one, but Is there
received permission today to share this with you. It is a lenticular object, and when you look at the shadow being cast, it is significantly large. It's an altitude of 21,000 feet. Taken by a civilian pilot. Now, why is this important? I'll pass this around. I'll open the copy if you can Kirk when you're finished as well, please pass it on down to them. This is taken from a civilian pilot. Right? Not a FLIR system, not an infrared system, but an average person with an average camera at 21,000 feet. And the object potentially is anywhere between 600 to 1,000 feet in diameter. It's a lenticular object, and it is silver. Now, I cannot vouch for the veracity of this photograph. I didn't take it.
No, es súper rápido. Es una pelota, no es, ni un globo. Un globo no es. Eso es otra cosa. Y estamos acercando. Mira cómo alumbra de varios colores. Eso es como metálico, ¿cierto?
A lot to cover there. So how do you feel about the recent Lou Elizondo disclosure? To me, it looks like all the other blurry photographs and footage captured. There wasn't anything groundbreaking covered at all. I know it seems like another leap forward to some, but to me, we're no further forward than we were 10 years ago. You know, what do you guys think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let's move on. I thought that toilet with accompanying turd was a visual representation of how her music sounds.
Have y'all ever seen a commercial for Celine Dion's clothing brand, y'all? When I tell you this twisted and dark, it's twisted and dark. In this commercial, she's literally stealing babies, y'all. Her clothing brand is called New. And we all know what that stands for. New World. You finish the rest down below in the comments. The clothes she even making the kids wear is weird as. Look at this. This is baby clothes. Look at the symbolism. We all know what this represents. I feel bad for the parents that allow their children to wear this. Look, it's like they want to start them young. You got the baby with the devil horns. It's right there in your face. Look at this. Y'all, this is literally her clothing brand. I'm not understanding why people allow their kids to wear this. It's weird. Would you allow your kids to wear something like this? Look at this. Now take a look at the video playing over my head.
Our children.
This shit is weird, y'all.
Our children. As we are all just links in a never-ending chain that is life.
Y'all seen the clothes.
In reality, we are only a fraction of their universe. We miss the past. They dream of tomorrow. We may thrust them forward into the future, but the course will always be theirs to choose.
If y'all don't see it, and I really gotta say it.
Yeah, girl, and I'm Beyonce.
That's not just edgy marketing, is it? Imagine trying to air something like this 10 or 15 years ago. People would have rioted in the street. People just wouldn't stand for it. So why are we so complacent now? What's changed? Have we just steadily grown used to seeing this type of stuff in our faces all the time? We just don't see the dark messages anymore, or maybe we just don't care. A special thank you to my amazing channel members. Honestly, without your help, this channel really would just grind to a halt and cease to exist. So thank you so much for your support. You really are the backbone of this community. And if you are interested in joining the channel membership and unlocking some exclusive perks, head down to the video description and click the link below. Cheers.
You don't just feel off for no reason. Wi-Fi, EMFs, LEDs, 440 Hz music, even thought loops. They're tech too. Everything you consume shifts your vibration, and everything's synthetic, designed to jam your signal. You're an antenna, and they've built a world that distorts your field. But once you reclaim your resonance, you become untouchable. Protect your signal, because this isn't just about mindset. It's a frequency war.
Is modern day life a frequency war? It certainly feels like it. Robo-dogs fighting fires? That's pretty promising tech, but are we ready to trust AI with life or death decisions? People are terrified of ChatGPT, and I'm not sure how they're going to even handle this news.
Qué susto que me pegué.
Grainy footage, blurry figure, this video has it all. This is the classic unexplained blur on the lowest resolution camera that money can buy.
All our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know? And I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12, way down the line. But I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, you know, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing, and I think they're all insane. You know, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. You know, that's what's insane about it.
Lennon saw maniacs running things. He spoke openly about it, and surprise, surprise, he was one of those people which had their life ended very early, so go figure.
What's up, guys? A bunch of crazy stuff has happened in the UFO community today. There was a whole hearing. Lou Elizondo showed a picture of what he claimed was a UFO, which I honestly think was just a circle crop next to one that has been plowed, next to one that hasn't been plowed, but it creates this optical illusion that makes it look like there's a flying saucer flying over the field, but I honestly don't think that is. But a whole bunch of crazy stuff has come out. Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp released a whole podcast interview with Pentagon whistleblower Matthew Brown, who's confirming that the Immaculate Constellation UFO program was real, and that was a real thing. And then Hal Puthoff just appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast. So I did a whole video presentation about all of these updates and more on my YouTube video. Make sure to check it out.
There is so much going on in the world of UAP and the battle for disclosure. I think a lot of people will agree with the earlier statement coming from one of the other clips, is that until we see it with our own opened eyes, it's all just talk, and even then people will still question whether what they are seeing is truly the real deal. Or again, if it is all a hoax to make us believe in something else to serve another hidden agenda. So much distrust in the world, can we really blame people for feeling this way?
There comes a time in your life when you look in the mirror and you realize that you're looking at a really miserable human being. And what brought you to this state? Why are you so miserable when all you want is to be happy, lead a good life? And we're living in this gorgeous house that most people would just love to be able to own. I said, okay, I'm walking away from all of this. It's not worth it. And I've read that so many other times. People have reached this point in their lives, they just walk away. But there are many who can't walk away. Why can't they walk away? They have financial investment in all of that. They're not going to leave that behind and start something new, something better. Can't do it. You see it every day in people when you hear their stories.
Is financial freedom an illusion? Millions feel trapped, yet the cost of escape seems too high for even the wealthy people in our world. So are we truly free if we can't afford to leave? Maybe even holding that ideology is the trap itself. Jets over Giza, for some reason that just feels wrong to me. Does anyone else get that feeling? A joint Chinese-Egyptian exercise near such an ancient site feels symbolic too. Is this just military cooperation or a signal of shifting global power? What's the real message behind these displays, do you think?
What if every country shut its borders? No imports, no exports. Who could survive? Small countries like Singapore, South Korea, and the UAE would collapse fast. They mostly rely on imported fuel, food, and water. Cities would go dark, and store shelves would clear out in days. Now let's look at the mid-sized countries. Germany imports 98% of its oil, Japan 60% of its food, and the UK nearly half of both. Their cars would stop, homes go cold, riots would break out, and economies crash. A large country like China could last longer. It grows much of its food, has strong factories, and a massive workforce. But China still imports 70% of its oil and key tech parts. Without trade, resources run low, and they definitely feel the pressure. Russia would survive the longest. It has oil, minerals, and food, but without access to global tech, it can't advance. And then there's the United States. With massive farmland, natural gas, and factories, it wouldn't collapse. But it still imports medicine and electronics. America would feel the squeeze, especially in tech and healthcare. So in today's world, no.
Resource wars, anyone? 70% of China's oil is imported. Closing borders isn't just economic, it's a recipe for conflict. Are we prepared for that reality? Or is this just another distraction for us and something for us to all worry about?
Today, guys, I'm going to do the #1 thing a magician should never do. Good thing I'm not a magician. I'm going to tell you guys how this trick is done. This video confused a ton of people. They were wondering how this was done. We can see a magician off here to the right. We can see this woman who appears to be standing up in these boxes, but then the magician slides her entire top half over, and her legs appear to still be in the same exact position. Now, believe it or not, this trick is a simple variation of the sawing a person in half trick. And in order to do a trick like this, you need to have an assistant that's very flexible and able to fit themselves into a small space. So likely what's happened here is this assistant has fit themselves into this box, and this midsection torso here is fake, as well as these legs. There are other variations as well though, especially when it comes to the saw. You guys can see 2 people could be hiding in here. You can even do it upside down. Either way, this trick does look really cool, but I think that if you think about it for a second, it becomes very obvious exactly what happened.
I think the most impressive part about this is not the trick itself, it's the flexibility that someone has to get into these awful positions. They are the real magicians.
You can do anything. There's nothing you can't do. Whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right.
If you try, you're probably going to pull it off. And if you think you can't, you won't. And if you don't try, then you're not going to get it done at all. You'll only see enough to match your vision. If you think you're a $100,000 a year person, you're going to see just enough to make you $100,000 a year. When you start visualizing your goals, you're going to start getting little roadmaps. You're going to start getting inspirations to act. You must act on them. Believe you can. Talk to yourself in a positive way. And if you do that, you can create miracles in your life. If you've got goals, you've got a vision of what you want, to get from where you are to where you want to be, you're going to have to take some steps, and a couple of those may be uncomfortable. And so what? You can either sit there and justify where you are and rationalize, and I love the word rationalize, they're rational lies to justify your current reality, or you can do what's necessary to create what you want. And the people that create what they want tend to be happier, tend to be more fulfilled. Which do you want?
Individual agency is powerful. Positive thinking alone won't fix inequality. 1 in 10 Americans live in poverty. We need to address the systematic problems too.
Guys, we've got a massive fire at RAF base. This is one of the biggest RAF bases in the country. What the hell is going on here? Apparently it is a massive fire set on tyres. Apparently it's a massive load of rubber tyres that are set on fire, apparently at this RAF Air Force base. Literally, residents nearby have been told to keep the windows shut because of toxic fumes due to these massive amount of rubber tyres on fire. What the hell is a massive amount of rubber tyres doing on fire at an RAF base, one of the biggest RAF bases in England? What? This just seems a bit odd. So there's a massive fire in RAF base. Apparently they blame it on a massive load of rubber tyres. Oh, that seems a bit interesting, isn't it? What do we think about that, guys? With the current situation going on at the moment, it just seems remarkable that this suddenly happened. We suddenly had a huge fire at one of the Royal Air Force bases, largest bases. What?
A tire fire near a major RAF base is pretty odd. How could something like that happen so close to a military operations site? I'm very suspicious about that.
The part 1, I showed you the Pope sporting his Dogon hat that the priests wear with his 8-pointed star on it. Well, I'm sure you're all aware that the Catholic Church has a serious problem with there's 3 popes, white, black and grey. We're only ever shown the white, and Catholicism honestly is just really badly disguised Saturn worship. Again, this topic has been covered extensively by people like Jordan Maxwell, Santos Bonacci and many others. However, why I'm mentioning it is because when a pope issues some form of public decree, it is known as a papal bull, which sums to 93, surprise surprise. But not only that, papal bull, papal bow, I mean, once you get on this stuff, the connections don't stop. You see them left, right and centre. We know why that's called the papal bull. I also want to show you how these archetypes are played out in the music industry as well.
The mice's resemblance to Dagon imagery is very striking. Are these just coincidences or are older influences at play here? Food for thought.
In Britain, we have had over a quarter of a million people issued non-crime hate incidents. As we speak, there are people in prison for quite literally reposting memes. We have extensive prison sentences and for tweets, social media posts, and general free speech issues. Would the Trump administration consider political asylum for British citizens in such a situation?
Well, to your latter question, it's a very good one. I have not heard that proposed to the president, nor have I spoken to him about that idea, but I certainly can and talk to our national security team and see if it's something the administration would entertain. To your first question about free speech in the United Kingdom, the vice president has been incredibly outspoken about this for good reason. And the president has spoken about this as well directly with your prime minister when he was here for a visit to the White House. So it remains a critical endeavor of ours to show the Brits and your country, which we love and admire, about the First Amendment and the importance of free speech in a sovereign nation.
I was in two minds about showing this clip simply because of the reason mentioned in this video. It has become such a risk here in the UK, and you never know what the law might decide to do next. So I'm just going to leave that one there and move on.
You've done a tremendous amount of media podcasts like this. You've been out. I mean, we talked. You had one or multiple episodes of Joe Rogan.
And Patrick Bet-David, been great to be on.
Sean Ryan show.
Yeah.
You've been on a lot of shows, and the Joe Rogan episode, they had to take it down.
Yes, well, in order to get the deal with Spotify, they had to take certain things out of the lineup. Mine was one of them.
Yeah,
and this happens all the time.
Sure.
Money is ultimately the root of all evil. It can be good, but it can be corrupted.
Yeah.
It's fungible. So, and what I found is that many times between blackmail and threats and financial inducements, people can be made to do almost anything. It's one of the reasons why I always tell people, hey, people close to the president, to Congress I deal with, 3 things you got to have. When I was in France, I called it ICI, like here. Intelligence, understand all this, complicated. Courage to do the right thing, because you're going to go through the mother of all buzzsaws with this. And number 3, integrity. So you can't be corrupted. Now, getting those 3 things together in leaders of any kind is difficult. The reason I love guys like you and the people I work with through Green Berets and other Delta Force and Special Forces folks who've been involved with these projects who are coming forward, is that they actually have the courage to do the right thing.
I don't usually pay any mind to Stephen Greer, but this video interested me.
Sperm racing was not on my 2025 bingo card. This has got to be one of the craziest things I've ever seen, but the reason why they're doing it might surprise you. So the other day in LA, the world's first sperm racing competition took place with Jimmy Zhang winning the first ever competition. It essentially has people gooning into a jar, and then they inject it into a test course which had been made to look like a female reproductive system, and the sperm then races from one man's to another's to see whose is faster. Pretty smart, to be honest with you, but why the hell are they doing this? Well, it's crazy to think this was all us once, like, it's the only race you've ever definitely won. But now you got 2 blokes shooting their loads into a machine and then racing each other. Now, the bloke that made it said, of course, he's just a kid out of college who's trying to make a business venture, good way to make some money. But he also said it's to raise awareness and bring about the conversation of infertility in young men, which is very prominent now. With sperm being this heavily taboo topic now, people don't really talk about it because it's heavily linked to the Orange and Black website. But he said he just wants to help people improve their fertility and raise the conversation so people aren't just living in fear. But yeah, I can't believe this competition actually happened. I genuinely can't. I've still got so many questions that I probably don't even want to know, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be more, so I'll keep you posted.
I get raising awareness and all, but this is next level weird. Imagine explaining to someone 200 years ago that this is what we are doing in our future.
Göbekli Tepe was really started to be excavated in the mid-1990s, but it was actually kind of partly discovered in 1963 by some American archaeologists, but they didn't recognize for what it was, so they didn't really dig there. Itself is a major megalithic complex. I mean, I believe that it was like, a whole kind of change in consciousness was taking place at the end of the last ice age. This was within 200 years of the Younger Dryas kind of ending. So the weather had improved. It feels like groups coming in from the south and the Tufians. You've got groups coming in from the north and coming in through Anatolia. All kind of met and kind of like decided things had changed now. We're going to monumentalize what we know and put it into stone. And they did it in a profound, innovative manner. It was unbelievable, because this is like, you look at the stone circles in Britain. They're the kind of rough-hewn stones, mostly just placed in circles or different, slightly different geometries. Here, they were doing that to another level. They were carving every stone precisely, beautifully, with 3D reliefs on them, with abstract symbols, abstract human forms, anthropomorphic figures.
They have fingers on them.
Fingers, yeah, belts.
Little bags.
It seems like it must have come from somewhere, this remarkable kind of culture. I call it like the world's first super civilization, because there's actually they now think, although they say there's officially 12 sites, which include Karahan Tepe, Sayburch, and all these others, they're now saying there could be 38 sites. But then another one of the archaeologists said there could be nearly 100 going in this whole area, because most of these sites appear to be buried.
Göbekli Tepe's rapid site count increase is pretty wild. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface with this ancient site, and resistance into further digging is causing major problems. So will we ever get the truth?
If you don't know what sepsis is, this video could potentially save your life. This video talks about how this girl ended up getting sepsis
that potentially almost killed her. Unfortunately, she did not know what sepsis was, and so she let her symptoms carry on for many days. She started having a lung infection that she didn't even know she had. She started having fevers, was confused, wasn't making that much urine, and eventually she had to go to the emergency room. And at that point, she was found to have septic shock, in which her blood pressure is so low that it's not able to perfuse her organs. So she had organ failure from the kidney, from the heart, and multiple different organs. What's important for you to understand is that sepsis is when you have a unregulated infection in the body. The flu, in the brain, it could be an infection from the urine, it could be an infection from the blood, from the lungs, etc. All different forms of infection, such as virus, bacteria, fungus, parasites, could all do all this. So it's important that if you have sepsis, what are you going to find? You're going to find yourself having fevers, temperature above 100 Celsius, or sometimes low temperatures, such as temperature below 96 Celsius, heart rate that's elevated, greater than 90 or 100 sometimes. And significantly, that's significant is if you have a blood pressure that's lower than 90 systolic or lower than your normal. That is very concerning, and any of those signs are concerning for sepsis. So you should go to the emergency room right away and don't ignore these symptoms, because oftentimes people who don't end up making it. Those are the people who go to the hospital very sick. They end up having something called septic shock, and at that point your blood pressure is so low you could go into multi-organ failure, in which treatment is very difficult sometimes, and oftentimes it requires you to go on life-saving medication to save your life.
Surprisingly, sepsis kills almost 350,000 adults in the United States each year. And that's an approximation, but still, that's crazy. And a large number of them are due to misdiagnosis or missing the early signs leading to death. Always be vigilant and listen to your body.
Lou Elizondo, what are you doing, man? Come on. You are the last person we need to show the world an image, a blurry, super blurry image of circular crops. I mean, come on, look at these pictures here. These pictures were found on Reddit within 30 seconds, seemingly. And honestly, dude, you can do so much better. But this honestly, backs up a lot of what we already feel about you, which is we don't trust you. We think that you're probably a misinformation agent, kind of like how Richard Doty was, and feed the people crap and show high up people like, oh, maybe this is just a load of crap. Maybe this isn't worth it. That picture was found within 30 seconds on Reddit. Come on, dude. That really hurts us as a community. Let me speak to my viewers right now. You listening, okay? The best way we all get disclosure for the world is if we do it ourselves. Let's stop depending on the government and let's just do it ourselves. It's so much easier just to do it ourselves. And if everyone sees it, then everyone sees it. We don't have to rely on, the government, which is never going to happen because we've been relying on the government for almost 100 years. And then Skywatchers, which is promising, but, they're not going to be viral or anything like that, I don't think. So we just have to encourage our friends and family who don't believe to just look up. That's honestly going to be the best way to do it. So crazy.
Elizondo, a misinformation agent? Is this Doty 2.0? Some people believe that to be the case. I'm not sure myself. I don't think he is as genuine as he claims to be, but what do you think?
Higher law surrounding dragons is linked directly with a particular species of reptilians called the Alpha Draconis, or the Winged Dracos. Now, dragon mythology is ubiquitous. It permeates all cultures. All cultures have a name for dragon, even though the animal cannot prove to have actually existed. Dragons, much like monsters, unexplainably appear in many remote cultures such as Hopi, Huron and Zuni. And this is because they have always been on Earth since the dawn of time, and every culture has had their experiences with them. Therefore, every culture has a name for them. The Alpha Draconians predate humans well over hundreds of millions of years. They're the Draconians who were seeded here by another unknown and vastly superior reptilian race that I'm not going to discuss today. They appeared in our reality from another dimension, somewhat like the Hindu Sanskrit text referred to as the Lokas. Some Hindus believe that there are 14 lokas, or worlds, that make up a multiverse, and they believe that there are inhabitants in each of these different planetary systems. So the Alpha Draconis existed prior in a different dimension or a different locus and then incarnated here. And now the propagation of these beings on Earth initially began with the seeding of the dinosaurs, okay? As Sauria-blooded dinosaurs evolved into Iguanodontia, dinosaur intelligence became more sapient. Eventually, they became upright and walked as bipedals, known as saurians. As they became more sapient, they also developed telepathy. Over the course of millions of years, their societies became highly advanced to the point that the saurians developed a space program even more sophisticated than the one we know today to be NASA. And we've already spoke about this before, the saurus. What does it mean? Saurus means dinosaur, right? And the saurus, the book of the lizard, the reptilians. Look how the gematria all fits perfectly here. And I've touched on this before previously, but we're really going to start pulling this shit apart now.
Dragons in our DNA. I'm not too sure on that claim. Mythology's grip is pretty strong, but science hasn't found those reptilian overlords yet. What if ancient tales hold more truth than we think?
It stands for Tactical Air Control Party, and I'm just going to level with you. This job exists for one reason and one reason only, and that's to put warheads on foreheads. I'm trying to tell you, if the Tactical Air Control Party shows up, there's going to be anatomical confetti everywhere. TACP is basically the Air Force's version of a grunt, but they got that Air Force budget money, so they're like fancy designer grunts. Gucci grunts, if you will. So what does all that fancy Air Force money buy you? Every TACP has to go through basic training, then they go to the Special Warfare Preparatory course, then they get to go to the actual TACP schoolhouse. Assuming they make it through that, they'll go to the Army Airborne School where they learn how to jump out of a perfectly good plane, and then they will go to SEER training. And that is just the bare minimum to become a TACP. They are then all but required to attend the JTAC qualification course, which stands for Joint Terminal Attack Controller, which allows them to call in close air support. A lot of people get that confused and think that JTAC is an actual job in the military. It is not. It is just an extra qualification or certification that you can earn. It's like being airborne. After they finish all their high-speed training, some of them go on to Special Forces, but the majority are going to get embedded with the Army and the Marine Corps grunts. From there, it's their job to go out on mission with the grunts and carry a 90-pound backpack full of all kinds of communication equipment. Everything from SATCOMs to radios, lasers for painting targets, laser rangefinders. Basically, he's there to translate all the ooga booga noises from the grunts into like math and science so the Air Force understands where to drop their bombs. So he's a grunt, but he's a nerd too. He's kind of like Donatello. Except when Donatello over here calls for fire, he's not just asking for your regular artillery or yeetus deletus. If Uncle Sam has it, this man can call for it. Whether we're talking about the A-10 Warthog, the AC-130, pretty much any type of bomb, and even naval bombardment. I'm trying to tell you, TACPs are not on the battlefield to unalive bad guys. They are there to erase terrain features that may or may not have bad guys on them. Here's what I need you to understand. This is the only man that's going to enable the Air Force to be able to save the grunts' lives if it's the fan. This man cares about his grunts the same way the grunts care about Doc. If you mess with this man's grunts, he's gonna hit you so hard your eyes are gonna be blue. One's gonna blow that way, and the other one's gonna blow that way. Because this man will hit you with a piece of ordnance that's got a price tag similar to that of the GDP of a small to medium-sized country. I can feel my taxes going up just thinking about it. And God forbid you shoot at Doc, because then you're really gonna get the grunts and the TACP working together. The grunts are gonna keep you where you're at with suppressing fire, while the TACP calls up the Air Force and tells him to drop something so bright it's gonna sunburn your soul. And then a few minutes later, the last thing you're ever gonna hear is a bunch of 20-year-old athletic alcoholics with machine guns singing, "Here comes the sun." Oh no! In conclusion, the Air Force doesn't have many grunts, but the ones they do have are absolute game changers. And when it comes to the TACPs, they not only pose a threat to the enemy, but to the terrain they reside on as well.
This has nothing to do with vital support. This is about glorifying warfare and power plays.
Let's talk about one of the most powerful families in history that almost no one talks about, the Orsini. And this isn't fiction, it's historical fact. The Orsini trace their roots back to ancient Rome, tied to the Julio-Claudian line. Over time, they became one of the most dominant, aristocratic families in Europe, especially during the height of the Holy Roman Empire and the rise of the Vatican's global influence. They weren't just wealthy, they were literally papal nobility, meaning their bloodline wasn't just connected to the church, it was woven into its leadership. Orsini family members became popes, cardinals, bishops, military generals, and political strategists. They helped steer the direction of the Catholic Church, not just spiritually, but politically and economically. And for centuries, the Orsini were locked in a power struggle with another elite house, the Colonna family. These bloodline wars weren't just about territory. They were battles over who would control the spiritual narrative of Europe and beyond. Here's where it gets deeper. The Orsini were part of what's been called the Black Nobility, a group of ultra-elite families who remained loyal to the Vatican during upheavals, revolutions, and regime changes. But this obviously wasn't loyalty out of faith. It was strategic control. They understood that whoever controlled the spiritual access of the world controlled the minds of the masses. Their family crest, filled with symbols like dragons, lions, and roses, wasn't just decorative, it was encoded ancient knowledge inverted. These symbols were marks of dominion, passed down through generations. Over time, their name became quieter in public view, but their influence didn't vanish. It went subterranean. They integrated into modern finance, intelligence, and diplomatic structures, often through marriages with other powerful houses, like the Medici, the Farnese, and the Aldobrandini. That was hard to pronounce. It's not a coincidence that the Orsini have ties to Rome, Switzerland, and London. 3 pillars of power: spiritual, financial, and legal. These are true centers of control, not just where the cameras are pointed. Today, the descendants of these families don't show up in headlines. They don't need to. They operate through institutions, trusts, foundations, and policy circles that shape the world silently. If you want to understand who really runs things, stop looking at presidents or parliaments. Look at bloodlines, look at symbols, look at the families that never left the throne. They just stopped calling it that. This is getting into the level of truth that rewrites everything you thought you knew.
Orsini influence is actually seen throughout history, but spiritual control of the masses? Is it power, legacy, or just a good story spun from ancient family crests?
The video that you guys just watched, in my opinion, showcases exactly why I consider orcas to be the #1 apex predator on this earth. It's not even close. For those that didn't understand what was going on in this video, the orca that you guys saw was in captivity, and it was given a fish. But instead of just consuming the fish as a normal animal would, the orca places it up in a shallow portion of its body of water, waits for a bird to come by and try to get it, and then the orca grabs the bird. Now it has a bird and a fish. And even though humans are not prey, this video is still terrifying. Imagine being one of the unlucky species that orcas consider prey. So let's talk about some of the ways that orcas capture their food. So first off, you need to understand that orcas are extremely intelligent. In fact, there's been some research and evidence that supports orcas might be as smart as a 15 or 16-year-old human, which is pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Because of this high intelligence, they're able to communicate their ideas extremely easily with one another, and this translates very well when it comes to hunting. One of the most common ways that orcas are known to hunt is through the creation of the bait ball. For those that aren't aware, a bait ball is a large group of fish that are localized in one spot. The orcas, though, are able to create these themselves by herding the fish into that spot, kind of the same way a dog might herd sheep, and then the orcas swim through, slapping the fish with their tail and consuming them while they're stunned. Orcas don't just reserve the tail slap, though, for bait balls. There are other animals unfortunate enough to be on the other end of this, like seals or stingrays. And by the way, these tail slaps are nothing minor. They can release up to 40 tons of force, which is 80,000 pounds. It's mind-blowing. Another tactic that orcas use that's less common to see is wave washing. This is going to be something that happens in the Antarctic in the frigid waters when they're hunting seals. For example, leopard seals, which are very agile, are occasionally on the menu for orcas, and when orcas go after them, the leopard seals are smart and they'll jump out of the water onto icebergs. But in some cases, orcas will think ahead here, and even though they're not able to get up onto the iceberg, they will swim under it at a very high rate, and they will create a large wave that washes the leopard seal off into the water where it's consumed. On occasion, it can take hours before the leopard seal gives up and is eventually eaten, but this is something that works very well for orcas. The third and final hunting tactic that I'm going to talk about in this video is a little bit more surprising, but very easy to explain: intentional beaching. As you guys know, seals oftentimes are going to hang out on dry land if they're not trying to get food because it's a safe haven. But it's no longer a safe haven for certain pods because they've learned that they're able to just climb up onto the sand, grab the seals, and retreat back to the ocean without really losing anything. So as you guys can see, there are plenty of arguments that support the idea that orcas are the #1 apex predator, especially when they're able to think of new ways to catch food every single day. As always, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Drop a comment letting me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
This behaviour isn't just observed in orcas, but also in dolphins. I find it absolutely fascinating. I don't think it is ethical to confine such intelligent predators, or any animals for that matter. Captivity raises questions about learned versus natural behaviours, and I believe that all animals have instincts, regardless of whether they were born and bred in captivity. If they didn't have natural instincts, then why are there cages around them? Signs to say danger, keep away, or keep out? Why do zookeepers keep them, locked up and keep a distance from them? Because we know that given the chance, that animal will totally enact on its natural instincts regardless of their surroundings. There's that saying, you can take the animal out of the wild, but you can't take the wild out of the animal, right? So Stranger Things mirrors MKUltra's dark history. Is this a coincidence or a glimpse into suppressed truths? The lines do begin to blur between fiction and unsettling reality. We often see the truth sprinkled into mainstream entertainment like a subtle taunt to those who know what is going on.
What if I told you that the two people in these pictures were the same person? Would you think I was crazy? I think we all know who that is, Bradley Cooper. But if you don't know who this is, it's Jonathan Brandis. And that's him playing a girl in the movie Ladybugs. And well, unfortunately, Jonathan lost his life to suicide at the age of 27, like a lot of them do. Lost his life. And Jonathan, he made his acting debut in 1982 as Kevin Buchanan on the soap opera One Life to Live. Please remember that name, Kevin Buchanan. Now, if you've made it this far, just give me 30 more seconds. This is Jonathan Brandis, older, and this is Bradley Cooper. And this is Jonathan Brandis, older, and this is Bradley Cooper. Keep giving me some time. I'm gonna get you there. I promise. You see, Jonathan and Bradley have very exact jaw shape. Right there. And they've got those beautiful blue eyes. Oh, and did I mention their hairline was almost exact? So exact when you move it across, it literally just looks like it's the same hairline and the same lips and the same nose and the same eyebrows. And wow, what a perfect match, especially those chins. Those are pretty unique chins, kind of like mine. And you remember this movie I was talking about, Ladybugs? I was trying to think, is there any relation to Bradley Cooper and Ladybugs? And I researched it. And well, he was involved with a very specific lady. This one, Lady Gaga. But Tyler, that's a stretch, Ladybug and Lady Gaga. But hold on. Did you know just recently there was a bug named after Lady Gaga called the Gaga bug? So he was literally involved with Lady Gaga, who has a bug named after her, Lady Gaga bug. It's them just toying with us. But then I also remembered her name. Her name was Martha. So I was like, how is Bradley Cooper related to a Martha at all? And well, Bradley Cooper's very chummy with Martha Stewart. And if I had to guess, I would say Martha is his real mother. And they were giving her a tribute to having him play the character named Martha. And you know what I think they were doing here when he was playing Kevin Buchanan? I think they were giving Jonathan, aka Bradley Cooper, a little nod to his father. Remember Buchanan? Look at what I just happened to find. Martha Stewart posing with Theodore Buchanan. And when you look at the back of the picture, Martha Stewart's in this coat, blah, blah, blah. Theodore Buchanan, her husband. Martha Stewart was married to Theodore Buchanan, and Buchanan just happened to be his first role. But his biggest role, he was called Martha, a tribute to his mother. But there's more, because not too long ago, I did a post talking about how Tanner Buchanan, there's that name again, looks exact.
More links are being made between Hollywood elites that I have never heard of before. This guy loves to make a mountain out of an anthill, doesn't he? Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you did enjoy it, please consider dropping a like on it, because it does a lot to help push the video further out on the algorithm. And if you did make it this far, let me know in the comment section below by dropping the number 0. We'll go with 0 for the first time. It lets me know that you're still a human being and also that you are actually paying attention. Also, if you want to help out even more, please share this video on your own social media, because it does a lot to help us grow our wonderful, beautiful family here on YouTube, the Awakened family. But for now, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.